Hi, everyone, and welcome to Sensory Moments. This is a podcast where we delve into the amazing world of sensory science. I'm your host, Shruti, and this podcast, with each episode, we're going to bring forth how sensory can help you perceive different things, and how it can influence your perception, your preferences, and also how it helps, how sensory helps the industry and make sure that the product that we are choosing are up to the par. So uh, co-hosting, I wouldn't say co-hosting, but accompanying this in a podcast with me is Mr. Sandeep Buddhiraja. He is the director and promoter of Spark Sensory. Hi, Sandeep.
Hi, Shruti. I would means we at Spark Sense are very pleased to do that, and we're very thankful that Nirmala has agreed to be the first guinea pig for this kind of podcast. So she's also a very experimental. So let Nirmala introduce herself, and then let's carry on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, hi Shruti and hi Sandeep. I think it's my pleasure to be part of this podcast because topic is very close to my heart, and I would love to share my experiences and what are the opportunities in this area. So happy to be here. And okay, let me introduce myself. So I'm having 15 years of experiences in sensory sciences. Currently, I'm leading consumer science EMEA in Mondelez for the chocolate category.
Okay. So, Nirmala, you said that this is like your basic, but can we go from the start? Like, can you tell us your bit about your background? What did you study, and how did you get exposed to sensory as is that?
Okay, I think my academic background is very interesting because I sometimes say, okay, I learned how to produce, and because I was an agriculturist,
Mm-hmm.
and then I chose masters in food technology from CFTRI as my further career, and there sensory was just about a subject for 6 months. They used to teach us for 6 months. I never thought that I'll be like this is going to be my career in future. Yeah, so we just studied that for having a good grades and my a master's degree and all. I always wanted to be in product developer. Okay, so but I think this is all destiny, and I'm not the one who got a campus placement. I'm very honest on this part, but today I'm proud where I am. Yeah, and I started with quality, which is not my cup of tea, because it's more about routine kind of work. But the first assignment which I got was very interesting because it was setting up a quality lab, which was very challenging. I think that was the right moment in my life, which gave me a lot of confidence. Being a fresher, I was given that challenge of setting up a lab, and I did that. And within 8 months, I got bored because, as I told, right, quality was not my cup of tea. And luckily, the big change happened in my life, which I'm really thankful to my leaders within Unilever. They hired me in the sensory sciences, right? So that time it was like a consumer technical insights executive. So I started like that, which is called as a sensory researcher. Okay, that was where I started my career in sensory science, and I never looked back after that. I think that was a moment in my life which changed my career, my success, and I think my passion also towards food because the sensory field is so exciting that I kept going into deeper into that field. And at that time when I chose, frankly speaking, as a CTA function, my main aim was to go or to be in Unilever. It's not about which function I'm going. It's all about I will be I will be part of Unilever R&D function. And I never thought that this function is very pretty new. There was not much awareness at that time. Actually, it was, I think, it a very niche kind of a function within India, especially on in foods, right? But I took that a challenge, and because of my confidence, my passion, I was successful, building my career in sensory. And yeah, that was my starting point into sensory, where I was not knowing where I'm going. It's just about the company and the R&D function. So this is how I started.
Well, glad that happened so that we can have you here, thankfully. So, as you said, Nirmala, that before that like sensory was such a niche subject, and what like how do you see it now? Like because nowadays when businesses like a lot, I don't think even businesses know much about sensory. So, what do you think? Like, how does it help businesses, even though it's like not a known subject?
So, frankly speaking, still in India, I feel it's not that much very developed. It's still a niche, okay? But I think compared to 10 years back or even 15 years back, we are at least in a better situation, okay? And I think a lot of opportunity if you are really a good consumer sensory scientist, okay, your demand in the market is really high. Let's be very honest on this bit. Yeah, the thing is it's all about, and when we talk about consumer sensory, it's all about the passion. Okay, it's not about how much you know the subject and how much or whether you have a degree of sensory, or it's not about, it's all about how much passion you have to learn new things, to be ready for the challenges every day, to talk to people, to be open enough, to be like, observing, because sensory is also observation, right? Because one of the senses involved in that. So it's all about connecting the dots. And it's not a very difficult subject, if you ask me. It's all about how focused you are, how much passion you have, and how can you link dots, or how can you link data. It's all about that. Okay. And the good thing is, I think some of the big MNCs are finding it important. That's why if you see a lot of MNC have this sensory as a function, but still they leverage some of the flavor houses, because in flavor houses they have a good setup around sensory, right? Because in flavor houses it's very important to have a sensory as a function which links with analytical, which helps the flavorist to develop a new flavor, or even if they want to have a me too flavor which is in the market. So it really helps to decode, right? And also not only that, even if you really want to get inspired by the some of the food or cuisine in the market, how sensory helps you with decoding that. So sensory plays a critical role now in most of the companies, but it's all about how you are leveraging it. Either you can leverage it through third party or my flavor houses, or can go to some of the agencies which is having a sensory facilities. But the awareness has increased, but still is lots and lots of potential, because it can be used across different functions. For me, sensory is a function which starts from a raw ingredient, right, till the product in the market. Even when the product in the market, if you really want to understand what's working well with them or what's not working well with them, still sensory plays a role there, right? So it's have a huge potential. I think we should tap on it. And another example is, I think some of the time we don't even realize some of the brands, they really do the sensory branding, right? And that makes their recall, even their advertisement, even their product very differentiated in the market, because they touch your emotions, and they touch your emotion and people remember it for a long time. And that is how they make a differentiation, by going deeper into the consumer emotions and all. So and that's all sensory.
All right.
It's
Thank
not
you
a
for
very.
telling me. No, absolutely. But I would like to know Sandeep's view on this as well because he has been part of this industry for a long time. So, Sandeep, what would you like? There's something would you like to add?
Well, I'd actually like to ask Nirmala that she's been very nice and saying that sensory has a lot of importance. But what are the things that she finds when she works, whether it's Unilever, whether it's Mondelez? I do think that there are lots of bright people in both the companies, but do marketing folks really appreciate sensory? Do they really understand? Because nobody will has ever come to me and said, I don't know what sensory is and you explain it to me. Everybody whom I met, oh, I know what you guys do. So what are the obstacles when you can tell somebody when they don't know, but if they know, how do you convince them that they don't know?
Okay, and that's again another question, because sensory is, because whenever they're creating any product, right, whatever they're selling, the bundle, right, the key thing, they are selling the emotional and the functional benefit to the consumer, right? And these emotional and functional benefits are linked to the sensorials. Let's be very honest, whether it's about the pack, the proposition, what they're talking about, or even the product, what they're delivering, right? So in case they are not able to deliver a right product which is having a delightful sensory experience, do you really think that product is going to be aha moment in the market? I don't think so, right? But the only thing is it's about the realization and also bringing it upfront. Some of the companies they do, okay, like I think that's why I think we have a great, there are few great example and which have differentiated in the market are the Apple, the Starbucks. Why I'm talking about that, because the Apple really tap on the the what you can say, when you see the Apple stores and all, it's very simple color which tell you about the premium, the sophistication, the classy, right? So it's again people are not realizing this at the in a simple way. It's sensorial. You are doing a sensory branding, right? What about the functionality? If you say Apple, the touch is the functionality, right? But it's all about again the sensory, because sensory is all about the five senses. Using your eyes, your ears, your nose, your for tasting we use our tongue, but for other product we just use our fingers, right? So how you are leveraging it, and it's all about how you're telling the story, and also being aware about it that we need to bring it upfront to the consumer because it will have a better link with the consumer, right? But it's not about the traditional way of doing sensory. We can do the traditional way, because why we talk about like having a panel, having a booth kind of a thing, because we want to really evaluate whatever product we are evaluating in a neutral environment, right? Because a lot of biases, and because of the biases we can sometimes can take a wrong decisions, right? So that's why sometimes people, when you talk about sensory, in their mind it's about the panel, the the booth, so that traditional like a proper setup kind of a thing comes, but people don't think it beyond that. I think that is, I feel, a current limitation what we are talking today, right? So if we really think beyond, there is a lot of opportunity, and this is what I felt cat is a limiting factor wherever I worked. But I think those companies wherever I worked, they really tapped on the sensory brandings also, because in Unilever, the aroma, so how they communicate the aroma of the Taj. Let's be very honest on this bit, right? Because again, they are talking about aroma being a sensory driver for the product, because that is the sensory signature for Taj. Because you cannot copy that aroma in other product or in other brand, because that is having a differentiated blend, which is delivering that particular sensorial experience, right? So they are doing it, and I think that's why the company where I worked initially it's become a little bit difficult to influence them, but I think later I have seen that, and with the help of my leaders and all, we could able to have a seat at a table where I think sensory is the first decision making point for you whatever you do. Yeah, because it starts from your raw ingredient till to your product in the market. So
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Nirmala. And I want to know, like, you are the regional head of Mondelez, and with that, it comes like you have to see how these products are differentiating from, let's say, country to country. So, while like developing that, what do you see? How do you differentiate? And what was your experience with somehow like one of the product that you have to see that, oh, this is quite different in this country, and it's different in India.
okay, I think that's a very interesting question, and that is my favorite things to do, because sensory and consumers are linked together, right? Whatever sensory we do or whatever we create using a sensory as a tool, because sensory is a tool for creation, okay? Because it keep giving us feedback at various stage. At the same time, sensory also help you to decode, right? So I'll just give an example. Let's assume we want to go into a very a market where we don't exist, okay, and we don't know, okay, we don't have. Let's assume we don't have resources to understand what the consumer want, or what we should from a brand strategy point. A simple thing, what we can do, we just go into that market, pick up the product in the particular category. Let's assume noodles. Okay, we just want to understand the masala noodles for a particular market. Okay, and we don't have budget, or we don't have any much resources to do much of the work. So what we do, we just go there, we just pick up those products from the market, we just do a sensory profiling and map them. Okay, through that map, what you are understanding what are the key nodes which are very common in that market, because whatever competition is in that market, they may have some insights, that's why they have developed that particular products, right? So this is a simple example, how without anything, just sensory can help you to create your product. So you get to know, okay, what are the top notes, or what are the key attributes of that particular noodles is having or the masala is having in that market. Just try to replicate, but at the same time also understand what is the like a key selling SKU in their market and what is the added advantage it is having in their sensory profile. So just you replicate that and make your product just with the help of the sensory. So you can do a lot. So this I just gave an example. But at the same time, if you want to work with consumer and sensory, just go to consumer, because consumers, they will not tell you what exactly they want. Let's be very honest. Okay, they are very vague, right? But as a consumer sensory scientist, we know how to decode it. We just go to them to understand them, what they want, what they don't want. We come back, we do our, because they give references of the products, right? So we map those products in our sensory. And then we get to know, okay, if they're saying this particular thing, why they are saying, and if they're liking some particular attribute of the product, why they are liking it, right? So it's very interesting and very exciting. At the same time, even the third dimension, consumer sensory, then comes to analytical also. So if all the three things come together, it's become a great, tool to decode what exactly your consumer wants. So you can delight your consumer like anything. Because it become very easy for the product developer what exactly you are going to deliver, right? So this is how I feel it has a lot of potential.
All right. So, Nirmala, as you said, obviously the consumer does not know where to go, but like these companies which are like the starting up or do have a place in the industry now, and they are like just got aware of sensory. How can they like develop their knowledge? How would they know like which, for example, which tests they should do? What kind of preparation they need to do to make themselves like excel better? And Sandeep, I would like to know more about that from you as well. But Nirmala, please go first.
Actually, let me rephrase the question. Sorry. Uh, why we are aware of sensory panels and we do work in sensory a bit. Uh, if I was a layman in marketing and was to understand how does sensory help, why should I spend money on sensory? Why should I spend a budget? Uh, there are two parts. The second one was till a few years back and maybe a decade back, the entire focus on marketing was branding. Means there was almost no coverage in MBA schools about product. It was all about branding. How do I make branding? There were actually courses for branding. There's no course for no new product development. So trends have reversed. But what do you think? How does sensory or product development helps a brand and helps a company?
Okay, so I'll start with when from the scratch itself. Okay, so let's assume, okay, you want to create a product where either you want to be a first in the market, or like, okay, I'll start with that. Okay, if you want to create a product where you want to be first in the market, there is no benchmark available in that market. How should sensory helps to go there, right? So what happens, you just talk to consumer, you understand what is the problem you are going to solve and what is the current problem the consumer is facing, right? And they you come up with different directions. Okay, they say, okay, I'm struggling with this. Okay, or you can say there is a consumer tension, they have a motivation for doing that, and there's a truth beside that. Okay, so you understand this and you understand, okay, my consumer is facing X problem. Okay, now how should I create? So what do? You, based on that, you may get further deep dive and understand, okay, my consumer like need or is tied to their emotional and the functional benefits. Okay, like I want something because I'm not getting a sleep. That be very simple. So when this is a statement you are getting, that means you need a product which help the consumer to get sleep, right? What are the attribute it should have? Okay, how should the product look like? And for that you need to go into the sensorial bit of it. Is it the but when the product when the consumer is looking for the product, it is very soothing to that person. So it's all about the color, it's all about the format of the product. Like I assume a tea. Okay, I'm just giving a random example. So a tea, by looking the color, by having a sip of the tea, is the consumer feeling that comfort or that relaxation or that soothing, that he after some time he get a little bit sleep kind of a thing, where again is driven by what kind of ingredient you are putting. Okay, and how intense you need to be. Like, let's assume if he is looking for sleep, you can't put something very tangy or something very, very too much flavor. So there where the sensory is playing a role. Okay, what should it be? Okay, what should be the sensory profile of the product? Is it going to be the mild? So if mild, how much mild it be? Okay, if it is a flavor, what kind of flavor it need to be? You can't put orange at the time night when the person want to sleep, right? Then you pick up those ingredient or those profile which really give you the soothing effect. So it's all about the mental, emotional, as well as the functional benefit, right? The function can come from the ingredient, but emotionally how you tie up with the sensorial, right? It should be, whether it should be with too much sugar or it should be without sugar, it should be hot, so you need to map all the journey. So it's all about mapping the consumer journey through the sensorials, right? And that is going to help you to design your product for the particular moment. What should my product look like? What are the design rules for it? And design rule means what is the aroma, what is the color, what is the flavor, and even the aftertaste. It cannot be a long lingering kind of a thing, right? It need to be. So all these things generally we call up design rules. So design rules are created based on the needs, based on the consumer problem, based on the movement, the time of consumption, and what emotional and functional benefit it is going to deliver. So here, if you see, lot of sensories involved here. Even the packaging, right? Let's assume, because that is, it start with the packaging itself, because you touch it. If you get irritated in opening and all, right? Because we are looking for a movement which is very calming, very smooth, like soothing kind of a thing. So if the packaging also give that, we can say the very, very soft touch kind of a thing. So if we can create something, so it's a complete holistic journey for the consumer.
Sorry, my questions might take this away on a slight tangent, but what you're talking about is pretty interesting. You're saying, look, you need to discuss the aroma, you need to discuss which flavor will go in things. Uh, in India and a lot of other countries in Asia, we were used to a reverse engineering R&D process. I want to launch into chocolate biscuits. I go to US, pick up some samples, test them with consumers, and decide which one is a winning, and then reverse engineer it. And I make a copy of it. Simple. Why should I invest in a sensory facility, a sensory panel, check whether the how am I benchmarking it against the market leader or the market leader in US? Why should I do that? Why should I make that extra investment where all I need to do is to copy paste products from Western countries or even nowadays other countries?
So my question to you, because you are asking this question to me, my question to you is back: is your product going to be unique? Is your product going to be non-replicative? Is your product going to be providing a differentiated solution to the consumer? Is it going to be sustainable? So, because whenever we are creating anything for our consumer, we need to really think about all those things. Whether my product is a unique, whether it's a differentiated, whether it is solving the consumer problem. Because just picking up a product launching is, because why the consumer is going to pick up your product, because there are already a lot of product available in the market, right? What uniqueness you are delivering, and why, and if you are not providing any uniqueness, is your product going to be sustainable? Because anybody can copy it in the future, right? Then it's going to be a lot of competition in the market. So you need to really think about all these things, and there you are, then when you are doing a proper sensorial experiments, or when you are doing a product creation with the help of sensory and all, there you can make your differentiation, because you are understanding the consumer, you are linking the consumer understanding with the sensorial work, which is linked to the how the product developer is creating, and then you're further validating, and then only you are launching it, right? So if it depend on what is the objective, you are going to be in the market for a short time with that product, or you want to have a sustainable product in the market and enjoy that outcome.
Uh, okay, I would use a term which I've heard from some friends uh, in one of the companies that we work with, but which is launch and learn. So there are people who are now, and I'm talking multinationals, who are going and saying we launch it and then learn, because going the right way and developing a new product or even a reformulating new product takes a year minimum to 3 years. What people are saying, this is too much time and there's a too much investment. What you are saying, and which is really correct, is that if you do not differentiate it, if it stands for nothing, it will fail. So the reason we should do sensory is because if you don't want your products or brands to fail and just be seen on fighting on price. So today you have Indian products which have obviously not done that kind of research, who are claiming a, something to be 599 and selling it at 99 rupees. MRP of 599 and selling it at 99 rupees, then why the hell would you put an MRP of 599 if it is another deodorant which offers nothing different? So differentiation and making sure you are actually getting the right chords of emotion from the brand and the product perspective is a critical one, and that's why we should do sensory. But what about launch and learn, and why can't I just learn from consumers? Why do I need to get into sensory at all?
See, Sandeep, I agree with your launch and learn, right? Kind of approach, because within our portfolio, you need to have some bit of it as well, right? Because it's all about making a portfolio which need to be balanced, right? It can be your maintaining your core, having some disruptive innovation, having these launch, lift and launch kind of a products, right? But even in a lift and launch product, if you really want to say that, okay, I want to learn with the consumer, right? How are you going to decode what the consumer is saying? Just a simple thing for you, right? Yes, consumer say, yeah, this product is good. अच्छा है, खुशबू अच्छा है, but खुशबू में क्या? Who is going to help you to translate khushbu mein kya? Because with the same khushbu you may get different product. It's all about within the khushbu there are different profiles, right?
True.
And some profile will be pleasing, some profile may not be pleasing, some profile will be intense, some will be low. So what is that combination? What is the right pick for you, right? That you need to be understanding. That's why again, even if you talk about your lift and launch, still to decode what you are learning, you need a sensory, right? You need not to invest it too much, but sensory helps you, even because lift and launch is a learning process. That's why we want to launch it for some time and we want to learn it. So within the learning process, if you combine your sensory, trust me, you will be having a win-win situation, because when you will launch it at pan India, you will be launching it based on the learning what you are getting, and your learning will be more holistic when you combine it with the sensory, because sensory helps you to decode why bit of it.
Okay.
Um, is there anything you want to add, Sandeep? Or
No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I
okay,
hope I'm making sense, but yeah, this is
No,
I'm
you're
just
making
sharing
it.
my
No, no.
experience.
The idea was to always have this conversation rather than say pick up only hear your side of it. Otherwise, it will become less engaging. So what you're talking, it makes a lot of sense.
yeah, absolutely does. So Nirmala, like this is probably, I think you have added this, like you have to do a lot of research when it comes to sensory, and like as a student who is already in a dilemma that which side that is this like the correct career that I'm choosing. What would you say to a person who has known like is looking for like looking to be a sensory scientist or looking to be a researcher? What would you like advise them?
For me, just don't fix that. Okay, you let's. I'm talking about a food technologies, because mostly in this field of food technologies come. But trust me, if even for the consumer bit, because we are talking here sensory, but consumer scientists can be anyone from the psychology background as well. Okay, it's all about understanding the psychology of people, because consumer science is all about observing and then interpreting those insights, right? Even within sensory, people from psychological background can also do a great sensory science. So it's just not about the food technologies. I think people having the what you can say passion on understanding others, and understanding this little bit of psychology of others, and also having a very also having a confidence and a passion to spend time in understanding, observing, just not what you can say going and developing kind of a thing, because we don't develop products, right? We just help people to develop a product. We help to decode what the consumer wants. So I think if you have that passion, and I agree, currently in India, we don't have any particular institute which is offering these kind of subjects, right, where you can have expertise and all. then when you come to an organization is we develop people within our organizations, right? It's not we just hire a fresher as a sensory scientist. So you may start with a very lower level, which we call as a technician. But my request, if you are coming fresh out of the college, if you are getting this opportunity to work as a sensory technician, please take it, because I started almost from there itself. Okay, and still if I'm here today, still I go to lab and prepare the sample. So it doesn't matter. It's all about your passion and how you want to help the business. And it's all about that. So try to capture the opportunity whatever coming on your way, and it can start a sensory technician, because when you go up, it's very difficult. People, you get an opportunity to directly hire as a sensory scientist or something, because it needs experience. But even people are having a little bit of stat background can be part of this, because we use a lot of statistical in sensory as well, right? And even we in consumer, we have seen a lot of people coming from the agency bit, okay, market research agencies and all, because they understand the consumer. So even they can come to this field and can grow as a consumer sensory insight person in future, because they have a consumer bit understanding that bit. Then it becomes easy to work with the panels, because panel leading, understanding what the panel is saying, translating that into insight, it become easier because they understand the psyche of the people, right? So this is how I think can be a starting point. But yes, there is an opportunity within India to have a proper subject on sensory, which helps people to at least explore this area.
Right. Thank you, Nirmala. And you're right. You do need like good experience to be with, like how we are having. We are experiencing you. Thank you so much. And Sandeep, would you like to add anything
Yeah.
to it?
So, if you were to go back in time and you had an option of joining Technical Insights and the more sexy field of product development, because product development is actually more the artist who's actually developing the product. Whenever you get to do that, what will you take today?
Do you know what my because they ask me what else you want to do, I say give me. I want to keep this. If you want to give me extra, I will do that. But I don't want to leave my field, because that is the love or the passion for this field. And whenever I talk about this field, it's like it's you can see in my eyes, right? So
Sure.
I think whatever, I think that's why I'm really thankful to God. Whatever happened with me is the best thing happened, because even my team, if you within my team and whosoever is working with me and across, they feel okay, no, we are in the right space. That's why I say about why I'm always talking about the passion, passion, passion. Because if you just take somebody who is not having passion, trust me, the person will not succeed. Okay, because and I have seen the people who work with me closely, and they have really a passion about it, and they never want to go into any other function. They tried, but still they say no, we are at the right place, because I think we play a very crucial role from the end to end. Whenever a product get created, developed and all, we may not be like a project leads kind of a thing, but at the same time all the decisions are made based on what the outcome coming from our work. So that excites us, and we and everybody look forward for, okay, what's the outcome, how should we create. So I think it feels good, right? So why should we be
So,
dependent on anyone?
in fact, I've been speaking to a lot of younger people, means who have either passed out, and I was talking to a girl in Calcutta who was saying that in her organization, everybody calls sir or ma'am, and it's very bureaucratic. She can't just walk up to somebody and talk to somebody and have give her opinion. So, from her perspective, R&D or the production function tends to be very bureaucratic and in silos, saying, look, as a junior person, this is all you are supposed to do it and go home. We don't want any ideas. While what do you, sorry, what you make sound sensory as it's a slightly more newer kid on the block. So people are more friendly, people are more open, and you're also talking about passion. And trust me, you're not the only passionate person, but I see a lot of consumer scientists, even in Unilevers and all, who carry that passion for consumer and product development onto the board
And
literally.
what, Sandeep, I just interrupt you. What I like about my our function is we are the center because we are the one who are making connection between the commercial and the PD, the process, the pack team, and all. So that brings a lot of responsibility to us. That how can we be collaborating with them, partnering with them to deliver a project and owning together. So that is what really excites us as a consumer scientist. At the same time, we actually are part of R&D, okay, but within R&D itself we are neutral. It's not that, okay, my colleague is creating some product and it's not great and we say, okay, the product is amazing. No, we give a very neutral feedback because we bring the consumer, we keep ourselves at the place of a consumer and we give feedback based on that. So we always bring the consumer hat, right? So that is very exciting, being very close to them, being like within the same organization. We always have the neutral role to play, right? So I think that's why it's very exciting for us, and then we have to, even not this, but we have the commercial INA partner or the CI partner, right? So we really work closely with them. So it's a very interesting because we are just not working in a silo. That's And we are making other also to work as a team kind of a thing. So that's why I really love this function.
I mean, interesting and challenging is something which makes it interesting. I would give an example on not an experience. I was talking to somebody who used to head one of the FMCG companies out of Singapore and Malaysia, and he said they have an in-house sensory. I mean, in-house means they get a third party to run their sensory panels in Singapore. And he was saying we do the third party because then we're not the only ones who are actually, my team is not the ones who are saying that this product doesn't work, while it's a third party coming and telling you that this product doesn't really measure up to the concept. So that rather than Nirmala's team giving bad news to somebody internally senior, there's somebody else who is doing it, and that's where the third party comes into play. Uh, I have again a question which is tangential, and I'm sorry, Shruti, if I'm exceeding the time.
No,
You
no,
know,
that's fine.
one of the first projects that when I had started my career with in this field was with on deodorant, and I know for a fact that in Virni Cosmetics, which launched Fog, there is just one person at that time, 10 years back, who was choosing the fragrances. And Fog has been a market leader for all these years after it launched. What Why we talk about research, consumer research, sensory research, assimilation of finding, what role do you think gut feel plays into where somebody experience picks up products and says this is gonna work? How does it replace it?
So my experience, okay, even sometime I bet on also some of the solutions. Okay, why I bet? Because I know what my consumer want, and I know my sensory, right? So whenever you talk about gut feel, if a person is making decision based on gut feel, but having an experience in consumer and sensory, that can be okay, because you know your consumer, because and you know what the product sensorial is. Then if you are saying, okay, this solution may work, and still I'm not saying that is the right way of doing it, you still go to the consumer, you still need to do the sensory profiling and see how the outcome is coming. Okay, because sometimes it's all about the context also, is sometimes it's all about, I may have a bias, right? So, but when it goes to the consumer, when it goes to the panel, sensory panel, there is no biases, right? There's They don't know what's the background about it. They don't know what ingredient we have put. They don't know what process we followed, right? And why we are launching it. Nobody knows. They are evaluating on time without having any biases. So doing that is the right way, right? That's why gut, sometimes you I don't see the probability of having success on the gut feeling should be very low. And if it is successful, it's just a luck chance for me, because if you see, we are a very big organization. We have thousands of projects going on, but still we don't do anything on gut feeling.
True.
We have that's why I think, why I feel excited, because there is a lot of demand of for consumer science, because we are involved in every projects, maybe where there is like, because when we have to prioritize ourselves, right? Because constraint, because we can't have too many as well. So I think we are making whether it's a margin management, whether you talk about innovation, you talk about making your current better, everywhere we play a role, right? And I have seen that in my past organization. Even I have seen in a flavor houses, right? How can a sensory play a very, very critical role? Because there my function was working with marketing, but I was working with technical people as well. But still, how my marketing stuff, how can I talk sensory in my marketing stuff in a simple layman language and make a RTBs or the concern very impactful, right? So it's all about taking decision with data and facts versus the gut feeling. So I don't suggest having a gut feeling if you are really taking a big decisions.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Any other thoughts, Nirmala?
No, but the good. I'm really happy because when I share, it's very authentic because it's like all my experience. Okay, so I'm not sure whether it's really going to help, but I really want to encourage people to take up this sensory seriously, and I think they can make a big differentiation with the product and brand in the market. Even people who want to pursue their career in this field, trust me, it's very tempting and very lucrative because luckily they get a good mentor and somebody who can train them, teach them the sensory science. um, it's a lot of opportunity in future, but the one thing I think everybody should remember, I think you need that dedication, passion, because you can't expect because there is no particular subject on this field, so you have to learn your own way. More you learn, more you experiment, more you will be inquisitive about it, more you will be open about experimenting new things. There is no one going to stop the success. You are going to be successful because that, and you need to take challenge, you need to really be putting your heart and soul to learn sensing, and it's simple, nothing is difficult.
Yeah, that is true. And I think with this, what Nirmala said, I think I'm going to wrap it up because this is something that we can talk on and on like for days, and we could always hear Nirmala like just keep talking. I would love to hear you, but it was amazing. Thank you for sharing your experiences, your insights, and I think Sandeep, is there anything you would like to add, or should
Just I want to add a last minute thing.
Yeah,
And I would
absolutely.
love you to be like, what you can say. You would be someone who can really drive this sensory within India because there is a lot of opportunity in this field.
Oh, in fact, we're gonna talk to. There is a pretty decent. There's a good university down in Bangalore where there are two ex-Unilever guys who are teaching. I'm gonna reach out to them and suggest that we can collaborate and do something around making course material which is more in consonance with what you guys do, rather than the way it is taught. If we find people in Nirmala, Niketan, and all, because that's here easier to reach out to, we are happy to devote time to get out, talk to people, and do our bit for the society, because obviously that's not commercial, but that's what we'll do. And I was trying.
Yeah. Why we have subject? Why we people just think about PD process, regulatory, right? We are like it can be another function, right? And if you
True.
have a good talent, I definitely maybe it can be the other way around. The companies may think versus investing in any agency versus having their own people kind of.
True, true. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Pleasure
so much.
speaking to you. I think it's been good. I'm not sure how you
I
both
got,
feel.
I got.
More than good, actually.
I hope I helped.
Oh, yes,
And
you
You
did.
were
always I'm always
definitely.
there for you, Sandeep. Anytime.
Thank you.
All the best, Shruti. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for being part of our podcast. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And if you like to know more about Sensory, please comment below. Till then, stay tuned for more episode of Sensory Moments.